I gotta plan my activities so I can uh, reduce expenses before December. So my strongest expenses are done before November, let's say October. Like buying Christmas presents in October is a great idea. Great idea, you know. And yeah, that's so you can reduce the stress on December and January because it's very hard. I get it.
Yes, you have to prepare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what about Gunny? What are the plans for your week?
I just need to interview a lot of candidates for one position. And tomorrow I'm going to the office.
Uh-huh.
Probably I need to leave the class early.
Yeah.
And I'm going to a dinner with all the team.
Yeah, that's a Christmas dinner, right? The famous Christmas dinner.
No, it's just because my leader from USA is going to come to the office.
Oh, cool. Okay. So
Yes.
they're gathering.
Yes.
Interesting.
I think that's all.
Okay,
Maybe
okay.
I'm going to go to visit my mother in Hidalgo.
Okay. Uh-huh.
That's all.
That's all, girl. Very good. It's important. So you stay safe. Is there a plan for Christmas? Christmas and New Year's?
Yes, with the family.
Both. Both of them?
Sorry?
Both celebrations?
Yes, both of them.
Okay, okay. That's very nice. So it's we still have 1 week for the news, but yeah, well for vacation. But precisely we are planning. Have I told you about the vacation plan? Great. So we are going to do our exam on the 15th and 16th, right? This means that we are going to, those are the 2 days where you are going to do the simulation of the TOEFL, and then I'm going to start doing checking the exams and everything on the 19th. From the 19th, the week of the 19th to the 30th, there's not going to be class. That means that we are going to go back, or we enter vacation on the 19th, and we come back on January 2nd. On January 2nd, we're going to have the what's the name, the review of the exam, but I will try to give you your results on the week of the 19th, you know, so you like finish the year with the results in your hand. Technically I will be working from the 19th probably until Friday, doing exams, checking everything, getting everything done, and then Christmas on the 24th, and bye bye 2023, 2022. It's crazy. So that's the plan right here. Okay, so get ready because we are going to do that exam already, and the plan is to graduate the most people that we can. Do we have dates already for your exam, Fab?
Sorry?
Do we have dates already for your exam?
Yes, December 13th.
December 13th?
Mm-hmm.
So it was okay. Uh-huh. You told me that the week, I remember it was going to be before our simulation. So December 13, 4 hours, right? The same day.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. At school, or where are you gonna present it?
That's cool.
Great. Are you nervous?
Um, no yet.
Not yet. Do you feel more ready? Do you think this course helped some way?
Yes, with my writing and with some, yes, with some vocabulary, it has helped me. Also, I'm doing TOEFL grammar exercises. Like,
Great.
so yes, I'm preparing more than the other times.
Oof. That's the thing. That's the thing that's gonna make you pass. You know,
Mhm.
that's what you needed. So very good, very good. Good luck and keep on practicing because these type of exams get easier if you keep practicing. That's that's the key. Okay, guys, very good. Let's then start with our practice on Thursday, uh, Friday. On Friday, I passed you the vocabulary of the video. Today, we're gonna do a listening practice, right? We have to go through. Let me just collapse all and let's go through our. Was it collocations? No. Yeah, collocations. I think. Word family, adverbs. Where was this? Forming nouns. No. Where was your video? Ah, here it is. Yeah, it was collocations. Perfect. So, did you study your vocabulary? Awesome. At this time, I want you to observe the mechanic that we are going to use this time, okay? Because it's going to be a little bit different. The in order to perform um, a higher performance from the students, especially in this level, uh, we are going to do the transcription all together. It means that the line or the answers to the questions that we were going to answer, we are going to accelerate the process by giving you just 3 chances to give me the right information, literally 3 chances to give the sentence fully. So you need to force yourself to find the full sentence by yourself in just 3 opportunities to listen. Okay? So then we are going to answer some questions. I'm going to play the video again so we can build those questions. And then when we start the practice, remember that you got to find the information, say the literal information, and try to answer it as fast as you can. If after 3 chances you cannot give the sentence, the next person is going to take after where you left, right? That's going to accelerate the participation of all the students right here, but also it's going to give you the same kind of sensation that you would have in a listening test. You know, listening tests are usually like that. We paraphrase a lot and we think in Spanish. That's the biggest mistake that we do in this specific level. So thinking in the literal information is the most important part, right? So let's watch it again and let's create some questions so we can answer them. Let's go.
Sorry, teacher, we cannot listen the video.
Okay, audio was off. Let's repeat that.
And Michael Joseph Jackson. 1984, Michael Jackson.
For Michael Jackson brings a thrill a minute to his millions of fans.
We have quite a few young folks in the White House who all wanted me to give you the same message. They said to tell Michael, please give some TLC to the PYTs.
So this is not just a footnote in history. It actually connects, in a weird way, to the reason that you have to be 21 in every state in the United States to buy alcohol. I'll show you. States determine their own minimum legal drinking ages. And in 1975, they looked like this. All these blue states are at 18. All these green ones are 19. Delaware is yellow, alone at 20. These orange ones are 21, but with allowances for lower alcohol levels in stuff like beer and wine. And these red ones are the 21 and older states. It's a complicated map. Now look at the map today. It's all 21. How did that change happen? This story takes you to a political crossroads in the Supreme Court, and in a weird way to Michael Jackson shaking hands next to the president while dressed like this. But the drinking age change is ultimately a story about roads. Prohibition, the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, banned alcohol in 1920. It was repealed by the 21st Amendment, and after that, a lot of states settled on a drinking age of 21 and older. See the red here in the late 60s? Those are all 21 and older states. In the 70s, the 26th Amendment changed the dynamic again.
That amendment, as you know, provides for the right to vote of all of our young people between 18 and 21. 11 million new voters as a result of this amendment.
18-year-olds could be drafted to Vietnam and vote, so a lot of states decided they could drink. But that map was short-lived for one reason.
And here comes the president. Nearly 50,000 people were killed on our highways last year. Now, out of this statistic comes an even more chilling one. Drunk drivers were involved in 25,000 of those fatalities, in addition to 750,000 injuries a year.
Drinking age reform advocates quickly attributed drunk driving fatalities in the blue states, or 18 and older states, to earlier drinking ages. People also argued that teens driving across state lines to drink or purchase alcohol increased drunk driving. This 1983 map was still a hodgepodge, but see how more states turned green for 19 and yellow for 20 years old? That was driven partly by an awareness campaign.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Michael Jackson, he was being honored for letting his music be used in anti-drunk driving PSAs.
You're as good as dead.
But tactics weren't limited to PR. President Reagan is famous for saying,
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
That made his strategy kind of surprising.
For even though drunk driving is a problem nationwide, it can be solved only at the state and local level. Yet the federal government also has a role to play.
His thinking was influenced by 2 main groups.
Much of the credit for focusing public attention goes to the grassroots campaign of organizations like MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, and RID, Remove Intoxicated Drivers.
Candace "Candy" Lightner founded MAD in 1980 after her daughter Carrie was killed by a drunk driver. MAD's goals at the time included making it easier to obtain DUI convictions and raising the drinking age. This direction was clear at Riverdale High School in Oradell, New Jersey, where President Reagan explained his unpredictable political evolution. The problem?
I appointed a presidential commission on drunk driving. They told us that alcohol-related automobile accidents are the leading cause of teenage deaths in this country.
The theory.
In states in which the drinking age has been raised, teenage driving fatalities have gone down significantly. Here in New Jersey, you raised the drinking age to 21 in 1983. And you know what happened? You had a 26% reduction in nighttime single vehicle fatalities among 19 and 20-year-olds in the first year alone.
the dilemma.
I was delighted again because I hoped that the states would, as they should, take this action themselves without federal orders or interference. It has led to a kind of crazy quilt of different state drinking laws, and that's led to what's been called blood borders, with teenagers leaving their homes to go to the nearest state with a lower drinking age.
And here, this is where the roads come in. The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars. These roads quickly became crucial to state economies. That money also became a way to bend the states to federal priorities, even if it meant Reagan had to change his typical political positions.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age. Now, some may feel that my decision is at odds with my philosophical viewpoint that state problems should involve state solutions, and it isn't up to a big and overwhelming government in Washington to tell the states what to do. And you're partly right. Beyond that, there are some special cases in which overwhelming need can be dealt with by prudent and limited federal action.
The law passed. That's Candy Lightner, celebrating.
I'd like to make you an honorary mother against drunk drivers.
It wasn't technically a nationwide drinking age law, but in effect, it was.
We have no misgiving about this judicious use of federal power.
States quickly adopted the 21-year-old drinking age. Most couldn't afford to lose federal funding for their highways. Louisiana was the only state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which had closed in the mid-90s. South Dakota challenged the law to preserve sale of low-alcohol beer for 19-year-olds and up, and it reached the Supreme Court.
Then you may proceed whenever you're ready.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the Court, the issue in this case is whether or not Congress may condition the receipt of highway funds upon a state having in effect the 21-year-old drinking age.
The court ruled 7-2, stating it was within Congress's powers to control spending that promoted general welfare, argued as the reduction of youth drinking and driving via the 21-year-old drinking age. Did it work? Most studies of studies declare case closed, that the higher drinking age saves lives and reduces alcohol consumption. Skeptics, like people from the Libertarian Cato Institute, claim a broader cultural change, not a law, should be credited with saving lives. Reagan himself kind of argued both sides, saying that
the new minimum drinking age is working.
But that,
my friends, there's so much more to do, and it's not government that can do it.
Politically, Ronald Reagan using federal purse strings to strong-arm states is a strange pairing. But beyond the politics, there's a bigger message. The federal government has used other levers to push states, but to change the drinking age, there was one big tool. The thing that changed the country wasn't just the lines on states' edges. It was the ones that run through them.
I don't know if you notice, but the video puts Ronald Reagan as a hero. Did you notice that? How is it that the video puts Ronald Reagan as a hero?
Because he managed to, managed to put all the states on the age of 21 for drinking.
Yeah, kinda like that. Yes, he like it was his initiative, and there is something that the video states about how nobody thought about a solution, and he did. You know, like there is a certain point at the video where they love Ronald Reagan in massive explicitness, but we need to dominate vocabulary to understand that part. So that part where we understand that Ronald Reagan is a hero starts in 1956. When they start talking about 1956, these three questions these three questions, 1, 2, and 3, provides the information of why Ronald Reagan is a hero in this story. Okay? The first question says, how did Ronald Reagan encourage state governments to advocate the rise of the minimum drinking age? Go to your vocabulary and tell me the definition of advocate.
Like stay in favor of something.
Right. Excellent. If you stand in favor of something, you advocate for it. This is a verb, right? And many states didn't agree with it, right? Because of the, we always talk about money, no? Money can be affected if you raised the drinking age. So he needed to do something specifically for everybody to approve the law. Okay? That's the first part of the question. This is going to be our beginning
of different state drinking laws, and that's led to what's been called blood borders, with teenagers leaving their homes to go to the nearest state with a lower drinking age.
And here, this is where the roads come in. The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars. These roads quickly became crucial to state economies. That money also became a way to bend the states to federal priorities, even if it meant Reagan had to change his typical political positions.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age.
Okay, that's the part that we need to understand. Okay, we are talking about funds, we are talking about money, and we are talking about federal dollars. Let's begin with Luis. Luis, do you understand what we mean with federal dollars?
No.
Okay, then what do you think it means?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Again, what does federal dollars mean?
He take
I take, you take, and he
takes the budget of federal to supply something.
Perfect. The budget of what?
Of the federal funds.
Okay, and what's the federal fund?
The budget. No?
The what again?
Dollar.
What do you mean dollar?
He take the money of the nation to supply something.
Okay. The money of the nation. Yes, that sounds proper. Perfect. I take, you take, and he
takes.
He takes. Don't forget to conjugate your verbs. So now that you get this part, federal money, then we need to understand this specific section. Okay, how did Ronald Reagan encourage state governments to advocate the raise of the minimum drinking age? What did you understand here?
The policy he tried to put on the table to enhance a situation. Enhance it.
And wait, you cannot say a verb in past after connector to.
To enhance.
To enhance, exactly. To enhance what?
A problem, no, a situation. The properly the drinking age, no, to reduce the warning.
To reduce the warning. What do you mean warning?
The risk, sorry. The risk
the risk. Okay.
The young people have an accident.
Okay. Yeah, sure. This is precisely the context of the video, but what answers the question? Do you have information about the answer?
No.
Then let's go to the second chance, okay? Listen and take notes so you can answer it.
Okay.
Largely funded, the Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars. These roads quickly became crucial to state economies. That money also became a way to bend the states to federal priorities, even if it meant Reagan had to change his typical political positions.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age.
Go. At the beginning, there's a context section, and then the solution.
Okay. He decided, in his words, I decided take the highway funds. Can I take my third chance? Sorry.
Okay. Yes, of course. And you have to focus on literal speech because he never said take.
Okay.
You know, another thing that we are committing is the lack of connections. There is a connection here that you need. Where is it? Where's the mistake?
No, I don't know.
Decided is a verb, and take is a verb.
Okay.
What do you need?
A connector, no?
What connector?
To?
Connector to. You see? You can never use two verbs together.
Okay.
All right? Don't forget to use those connectors because that's pretty fundamental. Okay? Anyway, the verb take is not mentioned.
Take.
Let's
yes.
listen again.
Highway funds decided to support,
even if it meant Reagan had to change his typical political positions.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age.
I decided to support the legislation. With the 5% of the highway funds.
5% of the highway funds. I decided to support the legislation with the 5% of the highest funds, and that's it. Okay, that answer doesn't give me the information we need. We got some words, but definitely we need to get some stuff. Now, as long as you are not Ronald Reagan, right?
Yes.
Therefore, you cannot say I. There is every time you are giving information. Yes, of course, we need literal words, but we need to understand who said what.
Okay.
We need to express changes like he, etc., and we need to practice reported speech. which is if the person is speaking in past, we need to speak in past. If the person is speaking in present, anyway, we need to speak in past because we are reporting what the other person said in past. You know?
Okay.
So
Yes.
that's gonna be the first section of the information. You have these 3 chances. Let's pass to Chucho. Chucho, what else do you have?
Sorry, my voice because I a little bit, you know.
No problem.
I think yes, Ronald Reagan, president, decided to take the money of the Hawaii funds.
Mm-hmm. And what word did he use? Because he never said take.
But no, synonym of take. I don't know.
Let's listen. Second chance.
Highway funds
Even if it meant Reagan had to change his typical political positions.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age.
To withhold. Yes.
Nice pronunciation. Again, I couldn't hear you. Microphone problems.
Yes. What is without?
Okay. Wait, the pronunciation is a problem first.
Without. I don't know. Withhold.
The H sounds in English. In Spanish, the H is silent. But in English, it's not.
Yes.
Sorry, thank you. Pronunciation?
Withhold.
Exactly.
Withhold.
We need to remember that whenever you see an H, especially if it's double, it's because it's a composed word. The first H corresponds to the TH and the second H corresponds to hold. Right? And now it gets better, no? Hold is similar to take. Remember?
Yes.
So there is kind of a similarity. Check it out. Definition.
Withhold something. To refuse to give something to somebody. Okay. Yes.
Synonym, keep back. You see? So it's like, okay, I don't have, I have the money. The highways are built with federal funds. I am the federal government. The president is the federal government. There is a federal government, and then there is a state government.
Yes.
The federal government provides information to, or provides money to state projects. You see?
Yes.
That's the information. So then, what did he say? I decided to support the legislation.
Withhold.
Withhold.
Withhold. Withhold. Withhold with, yes.
Withhold with, you're right. No. By collocation, we cannot say withhold with. It's a transitive verb. So you withhold something.
Okay, so there's more letters.
Right.
But
second chance.
Funds to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds.
Yes, we have to eliminate with that.
With that, right. So, complete idea?
I decided to support the legislation, withhold 5% of the highway funds. Yes.
Of the highway funds. Okay, but that still doesn't give me the information that we need. Why did he decide that?
To I, uh, uh, yes, he said that the government have not haven't been support the new law, but the specific words I don't remember.
Okay, yes. Haven't been support. But,
Supported.
grammatical, exactly. Supported. Very good. Okay, final chance.
If support legislation,
If it meant Reagan had to change his typical political positions.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age.
At first, after legislation is connected with a connector to withhold.
Exactly, because you cannot have a verb by itself.
Yes.
To
And
withhold.
finally, after that, to if they.
Do we keep the two?
What? Sorry.
Do we keep the two?
Yes. Yes.
If that's grammatically impossible.
So we have to eliminate the connector too.
Yes.
Yes. If they don't accept the 21-year-old drinking age, yes.
If they don't what again?
They don't accept
the
21-year-old drinking age. Yes.
Almost there.
Almost there, yes.
Almost there. Yeah. Okay, let's pass to the next one. Connie, how can you correct this section?
If it doesn't not the 20-year-old drinking age. I am missing one word for like that.
Precisely. What type of word do you need after in this word in this section?
It's like if they refuse.
Right, which is a verb.
Yes.
You see, here you need a verb. Let's listen again.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age.
Enact.
You are right. This is in your vocabulary. The word enact.
Okay.
Okay, if you have questions over here, guys. Enact. This is C1 vocabulary, and this vocabulary goes for policies, laws, constitution, etc.
Okay.
To pass a law. Okay, but anyway, there's something missing here. Which highway funds are we talking about?
Federal.
Federal highway funds?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Let's listen again.
The state's highway fund. I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the
state.
That's right. Complete idea.
I decided to support the legislation to withhold 5% of the state highway funds.
Exactly.
If it does not enact the 20-year-old drinking age.
That is correct. That is correct. This is the answer, guys. Okay. One of the biggest difficulties here was to find the right word. And that's precisely after taking vocabulary. If you know the vocabulary, the new vocab, it will be easy to understand these cases. And this is the first part of the why Ronald Reagan is a hero. I would include here a question that I really want people to answer, which is how before going into solutions, how is the money managed in terms of, no, how is the highway fund managed in the USA? Which is, that information is the context for Ronald Reagan's solution. Okay, let's listen to that. Connie, you're gonna answer with your last chance.
Okay.
With teenagers leaving their homes to go to the nearest state with a lower drinking age.
And here, this is where the roads come in. The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars. These roads quickly became crucial to state economies. That money also became a way to bend the states to federal priorities.
Okay. They say that they created a network of roads funded by the federal government.
Close. If you say federal government, it's redundant.
Oh, by federal then.
Federal something. Federal is an adjective that is describing something, but when you say federal, you are talking about the government.
Okay.
And what else do you have?
They say something about they became crucial to economy.
Very good. Crucial to the economy. Good. So we need to know what became crucial to the economy. Perfect. That's gonna set the basis for the next one. Fair? Complete connect information. How is the highway fund managed in the United States? Let's listen.
Crucial network of roads. The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars. These roads quickly became crucial to state economies. That money also became a way to bend the states to federal priorities, even if it meant Reagan had to
They start saying like the interstitial route. Something about that, and they create a network of routes.
Create is present.
Created. The interstitial route. And then they say something about 1956 with the interstitial route. I think it says the interstitial route created in 1956.
Exactly. Yes, we need to know the position of the 1956 because we don't know where to put this information. Now, another word that we need to check is in your vocabulary. We don't have interstitial because interstitial doesn't exist. You see, what word do you have in the vocab?
I know the word in Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. Just talking in Spanish.
Interstatal?
Spanish. Listen. Chivisar.
Interstate.
Interstate.
Interstate, that's right. Between state, especially in the United States.
Okay.
Okay, now listen again.
Also by Federal Highway Act of 1956. The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars.
Again, cannot hear you.
The interstate,
Mm-hmm.
the interstate route. Well, then I don't remember. They created a network of roads funded by federal dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yes, excellent. Federal dollars. That's information we were missing. That's important information. What else?
Is it the interstate road? No, can I listen again, please?
Final chance. Watch out. He never said the route.
The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars. These
I cannot pronounce that word. The interstate highway active in 1956.
Highway active in 1956. Nice. You found the position of 1956.
And then they create a network. Yeah, it says that they created a network of roads.
Mm-hmm.
Funded by the federal dollars, and then
And that's it. This "the" is a mistake. We cannot say the federal dollars because we are talking about federal dollars in
past.
In past. There's probably you didn't see this. There is a rule that you didn't see because you came later to the core group, but it's a rule of articles. Guys, can you help Fer with the rules of articles? Why is not correct to use the in this case, in this position?
Because we are not talking about specific dollars.
Exactly. We are not talking about specific dollars. We are talking about federal dollars in general. If you speak about things in general, you don't use the by federal dollars. But if you say by the federal dollars that were donated from blah 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 blah, then we are talking about specific things. So this is that versus not that. If you say, for example, how do you say los gatos son buenas mascotas? How do you translate this to English?
Cats are good pets.
Exactly. Without the, because you are talking about cats in general.
Okay.
Got it? Very good. Fair. Thank you. Let's go on with Luis. Luis, there is something that we said here. If you read this sentence, this first section, it doesn't make sense. So we need to correct it. Of course, there are some phonetics that match. So what's the correction?
The Interstate Highway Act of 1956.
Oof, perfect. This Interstate Highway Act. The reason we understood active and the reason we understood this is because the word of is pronounced with a V. So if you say act of, it sounds very similar to active, especially when you're speaking fast. Luis, how did you find this information? How did you discover it was act of?
When just try to find a word to match with the idea.
Exactly, because we're talking about laws, right?
Yes.
Great, great. So context is helping you in that you are improving here. In the past, you couldn't get context. Now you are getting this practice. Very good.
Okay.
The inner state. So now we need to connect the first section with the second section, right? Let's listen again.
56. The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars.
The Interstate Highway Act of 1956 created a network of roads. In the next of roads, largely.
Excellent.
Funded by federal. Yes, by federal.
Federal what?
Dollars.
Federal dollars.
Right?
Makes sense. Makes total sense. And why did it become crucial to the economy, or what became crucial to the economy? Let's listen, because we haven't heard that section. Second chance.
These roads quickly became crucial to state economies.
Those roads quickly became crucial to state economies.
Exactly. Economy plural, no?
State of economies, yes.
State of economies?
No. Crucial to state economies.
To state economies, no? Because we're talking about the economies of the state. That's right. Watch out. He never said those.
No.
Nope. You're very, very close. Final chance.
Funded by federal dollars. These roads quickly became crucial to state economies.
These roads?
Right. That makes much more sense.
Okay.
We have it. Oh my God, where is it? Here it is. Precisely. The Interstate Highway Act of 1956, which is the law in 1956, created a network of roads largely funded by federal dollars. So 5% of withdrawal was too much for the states. You know, that's the way Ronald Reagan raised the drinking age. Very nice. Okay, next person. Let's go with, how do you spell decision? With S? CS, no? Okay. Decision. How there is a problem, okay? When Ronald Reagan that decision to build it like this. States challenged Reagan's decision. With how? Okay, Chucho, you're next.
Money also became a way to bend the states to federal priorities, even if it meant Reagan had to change his typical political positions.
I've decided to support legislation to withhold 5% of a state's highway funds if it does not enact the 21-year-old drinking age. Now, some may feel that my decision is at odds with my philosophical viewpoint that state problems should involve state solutions, and it isn't up to a big and overwhelming government in Washington to tell the states what to do. And you're partly right. Beyond that, there were are some special cases in which overwhelming need can be dealt with by prudent and limited federal action.
The law passed. That's Candy Lightner, celebrating.
I'd like to make you an honorary mother against drunk drivers.
It wasn't technically a nationwide drinking age law, but in effect, it was.
We have no misgiving about this judicious use of federal power.
States quickly adopted the 21-year-old drinking age. Most couldn't afford to lose federal funding for their highways. Louisiana was the only state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s. South Dakota challenged the law to preserve sale of low-alcohol beer for 19-year-olds and up, and it reached the Supreme Court.
Then you may proceed.
Yeah, the two states were first Louisiana and then South Dakota.
Excellent. Louisiana and South Dakota. Very good. What information do we have about these two?
Dakota kept the 19 age.
Mm-hmm. Who?
South Dakota.
So Dakota, wrong. That was the first one. The first one that was mentioned was Louisiana.
Okay, so Louisiana kept 19-year age.
This information is incomplete. 19-year what?
Can you repeat? Oh,
Sure. Okay. Oh, before we repeat, yeah. Before we repeat, do you have information about South Dakota?
No.
Okay, let's listen.
Alcohol beer closed in the Louisiana was the only. Most couldn't afford to lose federal funding for their highways. Louisiana was the only state that held out at age 18.
Louisiana was the only state that held out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Something.
Okay, that's something, yes.
That's something, okay. And I'll continue with South Dakota, third chance.
Yes.
Due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s, South Dakota challenged the law to preserve sale of low-alcohol beer for 19-year-olds and up, and it reached the Supreme Court.
South Dakota challenged the law by holding something. Yes.
Challenged the law by holding something. All right. So something is going to be like this. Holding something. Just like that.
What's
Okay,
that?
suspensive point. It was a yes. It was a long part, but it's a very, very important part of the video. All right.
Yes.
So let's give it a little stop. Jessie is going to take attendance, so attention to Jessie. Hello, Jess.
Thank you. Good
Hello,
day.
good morning.
So, good morning, everyone. So everyone take attendance. Connie?
Here, good morning.
Good morning, Connie. Thank you. It's
Absent.
all right. Fer? Jesus?
Here, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks.
Alex? See you.
Yes. Luis is he's
Hi.
here.
Oh,
Hi, Jesse.
Alex. Hi, good morning. Fer?
Here, Jessie, good morning.
Good morning, Fer. Sophie?
Sophie absent.
All right. Isra?
Absent too.
All right, that's all. Thank you, everyone. Have a
No
good day.
problem. You too. Great. So let's continue with the next person to complete this information. Connie, what information do you have here?
So Dakota challenged the law to preserve sale of low alcohol.
Mm-hmm. To preserve what?
Sale of low alcohol.
Sale
Yes.
of low alcohol.
Beer.
If
For no beer. Alcohol.
beer.
Beer. Yes.
Okay.
For 19 years old.
19 years old. Okay. Yes, you are listening the phonetics really well, but we need to connect information. So let's play it all together. Okay, let's go through Louisiana.
Sale of due to a loophole which Louisiana was the only state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s. South Dakota challenged the law to preserve sale of low alcohol beer for 19-year-olds and up, and it reached the
19 years old and up.
And up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Years old and up. And we listen just until that, no?
Yeah, we hear of the, I don't see that, but there is some information here. To preserve sale of low alcohol beer, that may seem like it makes sense, but there is no reason why we are giving priority to low alcohol beer, or what is a low alcohol beer, you know, like that doesn't exist.
Okay.
You know, like we are, if you're talking about percentage of alcohol, that topic is not mentioned in the video at any point. Therefore, we need to check what is missing here.
Okay.
You know? Let's listen again.
law to preserve due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s. South Dakota challenged the law to preserve sale of low alcohol beer for 19-year-olds.
No, wait, no, he said low alcohol beer.
Yes, maybe they want to sell. They still want to sell alcohol, but with a low percent of
Yes.
alcohol in beers.
Low alcohol beer. Wow, that's crazy. Probably we're talking about a light.
Yes.
A light beer. Okay, so that makes sense. To preserve sale of low alcohol beer for 19-year result and up. Okay, yeah. So then that information, that portion of information, that's not the wrong part. There is something also missing or extra here. So they're gonna challenge the law by what? Because you cannot say by to.
Oh, then it's to preserve, no by.
To preserve. Do we omit by? Let's go over there. Sell, to preserve self. Now, also, to preserve cell doesn't make sense because cell is singular. It's a noun. It's countable. We need something.
The law to preserve, save or low. Can we again?
Yes, of course. Let's listen.
And up state that held out or to lose federal funding for their highways. Louisiana was the only state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s. South Dakota challenged the law to preserve sale of low alcohol beer for 19-year-olds and up, and it reached the Supreme Court.
But I am listening the same. I am listening the same.
To preserve cell, right? We are talking in general, therefore. I thought it was to preserve the cell, but no, it's preserve cell. So you're right. Do we have more information here?
And it reached the Supreme Court.
Exactly. And it reached the Supreme Court. Very good. South Dakota is complete. Do you have information about Louisiana?
The hill of the 18 years old, and that's all.
Right. Watch out. When you're talking about the age of people, you say years old. But here, we are not talking about the age of people. We are talking about a law. Therefore, you cannot use years.
The 18 all? No, right?
I mean, don't omit it. Adjectives cannot be plural.
Oh, the 18 year?
Exactly. 18-year-old here too.
Okay.
Remember that, guys. Adjectives can never be plural.
Okay.
Right? Very good, Connie. Excellent job. Let's go to Fer. Fer, what did Louisiana hold out?
No, I don't know. Can I listen?
Sure.
Of low alcohol, which Louisiana was the only state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s.
That held out at the age of 18.
Okay. At the age of 18.
And then I don't know.
Okay, let's listen second chance.
Only state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s.
At the age, well, the age of 18 to loophole. I don't know that word.
Very good. To what again?
Loophole? I don't know.
Are you reading the vocabulary?
No. Let me find that.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right.
To loophole?
Exactly. A loophole is not a verb. So you cannot say.
So it's without the to?
Exactly. You know? At the age, what is a loophole?
It's a mistake in the way a law, contract, etc. has been written that enables people to legally avoid doing something that the law, contract, etc. has intended them to do.
So the law is created, and then there is a small detail that don't cover something in particular. So these people avoid obeying the law, right? Because this small detail is open. So,
okay.
What information, if you know the definition of loophole, we can understand what information we need here. The only state that held out at the age of 18. Final repetition. Let's listen.
State that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s.
To do?
To do. Incorrect. No, we never said to do. It sounds similar, but it's not. So let's go through. Chucho. What do you have, Chucho?
Me? Yes, me?
You?
Oh no. I share the same feeling that Fer had.
You have the same information?
Yes, at age of 18, and then there's a word very strange. I don't know.
Do you know the word similar to because of?
Because of? Ah, yes, due to.
Exactly.
state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s.
What was a close of the due to loophole was a close.
Exactly. It's very short and very contracted. Due to a loophole.
Was a close. Can you repeat?
All right. Final repetition.
Well.
New state that held out at age 18 due to a loophole which it closed in the mid-90s.
Which the close.
It's like this.
Which.
Okay. Which?
The
connector.
Close. 90s.
Incomplete.
Yes, I don't know the adjective. Mid-age? So something with M.
Exactly. Okay, let me help you. Mid-90s. The mid-90s, you're talking about, let's say, around 1995, 1992, exactly. And here we have which closed, because this is a verb. When you have a loophole, the loophole is closed. Patty boy.
Okay.
There you have your information, my people. We finished. So this is a very, very good strategy to improve and catch information as fast as possible. You see? Have it in mind.
Yes.
Excellent practice, my people. We're gonna meet tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent class,
day.
guys. Have a good day. See
Thank
you
you.
later, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Let's go. My brother, see you later.